like I learned about the number of volts that would pass through my body and how long my body would be, how many days my body would be burning for after I'd died
Yeah.
during that. And it's never left me. So I went trackside with the engineers, and we had engineers. So in the UK, I'm from the northeast in the UK, and most of our railway infrastructure, a concentration of it is in and around London. And for us, that's like 3 hours on the train. So a lot of the engineers that worked for us were lived in the northeast. Their families were in the northeast, but they worked Monday to Friday in London, and they were away from their families. And the company, as I said, it was a great company. It had recognised that things like hotels, long term weren't great for anyone's health, really, and connection with each other. So they'd rented these amazing houses in Tufnell Park, which is a really gorgeous part of London, kind of like basement and 4 stories type of thing. Huge. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the guys would live there Monday to Friday. So, they had some home comforts and things like that. So I went trackside with them. I got my PTS and went trackside. And they were first of all, they were really appreciative of that, because like they felt that nobody really understood what they did, the conditions that they were facing. We're talking about, they're working on live railway line, and the trains go past at a speed that if you're standing within 6 foot of the track, you would be sucked under. And the way that the safeguard in the industry is that you had someone called a lookout. This was this basic. And this lookout would be scientifically placed at a point by which they could see oncoming trains, and they would signal to the rest of the team. There would be someone in charge of the site safety around that team working, who would at the beginning say, this is the place of safety. Whenever the lookout indicates, you move immediately, you take your tools, you move immediately to your place of safety, which is probably only about 10 foot away. So, there wasn't a big room for an error in this. Anyway, and that's the conditions under which these guys worked. And as a result, it was really high pressure. And they would come, finish work, they'd go home, have a shower, and then inevitably they'd go to the pub, because the pressure was so high, they needed this release, and they were like eating pub food, which is, never the healthiest, and they were drinking. And so I spent this time with them, and like, I'm not surprised they go off to the pub. What can we do differently? So I spent some time talking to them, and what came out is that actually they were really fed up of going to the pub, but they felt like they needed an energy release. They needed a release of something. That, pressurized working day, they needed to do something. And what we talked about was potentially paying for their gym memberships as part, or allowing them to claim it as part of their expenses. They thought that would work for them. So I got the approval that I needed to, and we changed the expenses policy and helped them find the right gym for them as well, because that's a very personal thing as well. And that was as a result of kind of going and just having that conversation. So it doesn't need to be anything groundbreaking, but it made such a huge difference to those guys. And they were healthier, they were fitter, they felt better. Quite often they were probably hungover on the morning because they'd been in the pub the night before. Like, that all disappeared. I'm not saying they never went to the pub, but they certainly weren't doing it like 5 nights a week like they had been. Yeah, it was, we were taking staff engagement at the time, and, that area definitely saw an increase. I can't remember what it was now. It was a long time ago, but we definitely saw an increase.
The main takeaway there is actually talk to your people. They'll be able to give you a pretty good guide on how to tie what they're doing and how you can tie that into business and marry the success. It's not some sitting up on high and doing this genius work. It's just being in the business, knowing your people, and just talking, having the conversations.
It really is. I think in HR sometimes we think we have to have all of the answers, and we don't. We really don't. We just need to go and talk to people and find out, and listen as well. Listen
Yeah.
to what they're saying.
And that it's very real about we feel like we always have to have the answer versus, well, let's help get you to the answer. Let's help figure out what the best answers are, but we don't have to always have say something in the moment versus listening, take it back, go, let's help you find the right place, the right people, the right process. But that's really real of we feel like we have to know everything, which is just it's actually silly and it's a weird pressure that I think a lot of us
Yeah.
in HR have. Um,
Yeah.
Switching gears, and then we're going to wrap this thing up here. But I wanted to talk about Iona HR. So
Okay.
you were in the corporate world. You've taken the plunge. You're running your own thing now, which I've always, since I kid, wanted to have my own business, but I've never done it, and it's scary. So I'm curious because I know a lot of people, especially in HR, they go do consulting in other places. What advice do you have for others thinking about going independent or building something on their own? And I want to preface the company I work for, I'm not trying to leave, so don't get any weird ideas. I'm asking this question for everybody else, but what have you learned now that you've been on your own? What is something that others should think about? What are some skills? What are some things they should consider?
Key thing is if you know you want to do it, there's an amount of planning and preparation you have to do, and you have to really think about what it is that you love doing. What parts of HR do you love? Is there a market for that? How could you package that up? How could you, create an offer? Are there people who will buy that? And then you've just got to do it. Like there is no substitute for just getting out there and trying it. Nothing is forever. You can change it at any point. If you decide that you want to have a business which is, I don't know, coaching line managers on how to manage absence in their team. I know that's very, very niche, but say that's that you know what you want to do. And you got out there and you were doing it, and you'll inevitably pick up other pieces of work as well, by the way. But you might then say, actually, that's not making my heart sing, or there's not really the market I thought there was, or I've come across this. That's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot that and take the material and switch it into something else. The key thing is to get started, and also be really clear with yourself on your boundaries. When you work for yourself, you will work harder than you have ever worked before. And I know I have this yet. And you will sacrifice some family time and some leisure time, but put some boundaries into place and stick to them yourself. Because if you don't stick to them, no one else will respect them. You have to respect them too. So don't let it become a habit of working late evenings, if you've been working all day as well. I mean, obviously, if you've had the day off because you want to go out and do something else and you want to work on an evening, you can absolutely do that. That's your call. But, don't try and burn both ends of that candle. It will catch up with you. I would say just ask for help as well. There are so many people out there who will, if you connect on LinkedIn and things like that, people will help you. If you drop them a message and just say, hey, I'm starting out, I'd really appreciate if you could spare me 30 minutes, just talk about the things that you wish you'd known. So many people will help you. They're so willing to help. And I've done that with so many people who've set a business after I have. And it's a real pleasure to do that and to be part of somebody's journey and to make a bit of a difference. So again, don't think you have to have all the answers as well, because none of us do. What you said about me at the beginning was super kind and I loved hearing it. But I don't think I've got all of the answers. I'm still on a journey. We're all still on a journey. And, being vulnerable and asking other people for help and support is probably one of the most valuable things you can do.